I'm done with this.
Good night.
Meeting called to order.
Mr. Albro,
Present.
Ms. Calderon,
Here.
Mr. DeCosta, Ms. Coffinger,
Here.
Mr. Lombardi,
Here.
Mr. Luna,
Here.
Ms. Ryan, Vice President Dunn,
Here.
President Gomez.
Here.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board statements. In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the New Milford Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof in the record, New Milford Public Library, New Milford Borough Hall, and the main office of all New Milford Public Schools. The board announces that under its long-standing policy, it will not discuss in public any comments made by members of the public concerning individual staff members. At this time, please be advised that all cell phones and electronic devices are to be turned off. Meetings of the board are open to the public, and all members of the community should feel free to participate. Before coming to the board, the chain of command should be followed. There are two portions of the meeting reserved for comments from the public. The first at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items only, and the second at the end of the meeting for other items. Issues raised by the public may or may not be responded to by the board, but all comments will be considered. The board requests that all members of the public be mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Due to confidentiality and legal rights afforded by the state of New Jersey, members of the public are asked to not speak negatively or in a derogatory manner about any employee of the board or any student. Okay, so we have the acting superintendent of schools report. Lauren Odessa is out sick today, so we have Stephanie Kuchar, who will be covering.
I'm just gonna do the reports that have to be reported, and then she will share her full report with you, next week.
Okay.
So for the HIB report for February, the high school had 5 cases reported, 3 were forwarded for full investigation, 2 were not confirmed, and 1 is still being investigated. DEO had 5 cases reported, 5 sent for full investigation, 1 confirmed case of HIV, 2 unfounded, and 2 still under investigation. Gibbs had 1 case reported, that 1 case was forwarded by the principal for full investigation, and the 1 case was confirmed case of HIV. And Berkeley had 5 cases reported, 1 of those cases was sent for a full investigation, and the 1 case was unfounded for HIV. The suspension report for February, at New Milford High School, there was 1 incident that occurred for cutting class and received 1 day of in-school suspension. At the middle school, there were 9 incidents that resulted in 4 days of in-school suspension and 6 days of out-of-school suspension. The various offenses were fighting, use of a vape, and disrespectful to another student and or staff. Gibbs, there was 1 incident. It was a violation of the social media and cell phone policy that received 1 day of in-school, 1.5 days of in-school suspension. And Berkeley had 2 incidences, and both of them received a total of 2 days of in-school suspension, so 4 days of in-school suspension for misconduct. And then the presentation of the Student Safety Data System Incidents Training Programs. It's New Milford High School had 14 incidences. They completed 6 trainings, and 3 programs. Berkeley had 13 incidences, completed 3 trainings, and completed 8 programs. B.F. Gibbs Elementary School had 3 incidences completed 6 trainings and 6 programs. And David E. Owens Middle School had 25 incidences. They completed 5 trainings and 4 programs. And that concludes that report for this evening. Are there any questions?
No, thank you. Am I assuming we're not?
Skip the next one.
Okay, yes. Okay, business administrative report.
Okay, that one I have for you. So, much of this was discussed in the finance committee meeting, but we currently have a balanced budget. There are still a few items that we're just looking to see if we can use different resources in different areas. But the budget is pretty well ready for the preliminary budget next week. I'll have some more information to share at that point. We did receive a cut in state aid a little above $10,000, but we were able to maintain all the staff, and we have no current staff reductions plans in this upcoming budget. Some of the positions, however, did have to change due to our increasing special education numbers. And so where we may have a retirement or a resignation from a gen ed teacher, that would move into a special ed spot because our numbers and our programs are really growing. It's important to know that we are not accepting incoming tuition from other districts, and that's what's causing our numbers. These are truly New Milford students that are driving these numbers. And so that's also a piece where we get revenue is to offset it, but because the New Milford students have such needs and the program is growing in special education, we just don't have the seats to offer it to outside districts. And we did reduce the building and program operating budgets by a little bit each, but we were able to maintain the integrity of all programs for all students. So the budget really should not have an impact to students at all. A big part of why we've been having some, the cost of healthcare continues to rise, and so that's been a challenge for the past few years. But we've been able to sort of offset that in other ways. For the summer facilities projects, we did get the final approval on the ROD grant. A company was out walking the roof at Gibbs and the high school today to come up with the plans to hopefully go out to bid and award that contract at the April meeting. That does mean that we will have no students for anything on the high school campus at all for the summer, as well as Gibbs. And so all of our ESY programs will be held at either Berkeley or the middle school. Both of those buildings are the least air conditioned out of all of our buildings, but we did receive an SDA ROD grant, and so with some of that money we purchased air conditioning for Berkeley. And so we have a plan in place that will allow us to have the second floor of Berkeley air conditioned before school lets out in June. So hopefully that's typically the hottest place in that building, and it gets pretty warm. And so those classrooms should all have air conditioning with a few classrooms downstairs, and we're hoping to have that work completed. Our in-house maintenance staff is working on that, and hope to have that completed by June. We also, the rec uses our facility for their summer program, and so I met with Allie on Monday about sort of what their needs would look like, and so we're working out a way to find them space at either Berkeley and or DEO. Berkeley's definitely going to be a challenge because we do have the air conditioning project going on there along with our own ESY program, but we should have plenty of space to house them at the middle school. So we're working sort of through that, but in terms of fields and any use of outside space, we are not going to have any students on site at the high school or at Gibbs while we have things going up and down off the roof. But the roofs are definitely over their life expectancy, so this is sort of a really great investment and sealing all of our assets, and it's a good thing. It's just, you know, a bit of a challenge over a summer when you have students in a building that really never closes. In terms of food services, we still are seeing a lot of families with high balances, so there were letters sent out from my office again late last week, early this week. So any family who has a high balance should receive those letters, and please, you know, be aware of it. If there's a hardship, please let us know. We can work with you, but the balances are getting pretty high. At the next meeting, the auditor will be here to present the 22-23 audit. And then in terms of the budget, there's just a few, items that I wanted to tell you were F23-24.195, .196, and .197, which are the tuition costs for next year. And those numbers were utilized while preparing the 24-25 budget. And then on tonight's agenda, there is action because when you receive the approval for the ROD grant, there's all sorts of forms and paperwork that the board needs to approve. And so that is what's being approved this evening, that just allows the submission of all of that. We were awarded 3 ROD grants, 2 of them being the roofs that I spoke about, and the third one is the high school auditorium HVAC. The mechanical equipment is, the lead times are really bad, but the only time you can withdraw from capital reserve is during your budget process now. And so if by a small chance that the lead times happen to get better, and we can do that work during this budget year, that would be great. But it's not likely. And so if we withdraw it now and we don't use it, we just deposit it back in June and it goes back there, and then we withdraw it in 2025. So that's what all the action on tonight's agenda is about. And that concludes my report for this evening.
I just have a question, which you may not be able to answer. So I know they're assessing the roofs now. Is the expectation for the roofs to be done before the next school year starting?
Yes.
Okay.
The idea would be for them to mobilize the day after high school graduation.
Okay.
And it should be completed before students return in September.
So will that roof work impact the summer theater program at all?
It will, because we will not have students here, but Dr. Albro at Riverdale has graciously said that we can utilize his auditorium at Riverdale, because I think the show is the first week of July. I'm not sure. I think it is scheduled, and Danielle had got that set up before she left, and so they're only going to charge us for the rental of the space.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
How much in total grants do we get for all these projects? Is it just as simple as adding up all these things that say grant amount?
It is, and I have the total. I can get it to you. I just don't have it in front of me. I apologize.
I just wanted to say one quick thing. I wanted to just really just point out what a great job Dr. Kuchar did with the budget. And you know, when we hear things like, you know, $10,000 that we lost, you know, keep in mind a lot of districts around us are getting hundreds of thousands, if not millions more. And then when you add to it what happened to us last year, the fact that, you know, we're sitting here tonight saying that, look, hey, we got 10,000 less than last year. We have continued increasing costs, but, you know, we're not cutting any staff. And I just wanted to really go out of my way to really say thank you and, you know, for the job that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Moving on to liaison board committee reports.
I have one, but just short. Just to report that we did meet as a Finance and Facilities Committee. Dr. Kuchar gave us a rundown of how the budget was formed, what some of the pain points might be, that were much less than last year, obviously. And just to echo, Joe's sentiment, you guys did a great job. It was really well explained, and having to combat the high, the just increasing cost of health benefits, and things like that. So, it's not the ideal position that we'd want. We'd want $20 million more, but it was a good, productive presentation.
Joe? Oh, yeah, you're gonna up too.
No, just, like, it's, again, not to belabor the point, but like, we're not sitting here first week, second week of March talking about having to still find $1 million. Like,
Right.
and that's a heck of an effort, so I just wanted to point that out.
And really, her greatest effort is getting us all on a schedule together.
It was tough, that finance
It is like wrangling cats.
is a tough one. The 4 most difficult schedules on the phone one committee. Although
Sorry.
you could throw some of the other ones in there, and they would be just as much of a challenge,
That's true.
but, yeah.
Okay, any correspondence? Okay.
No.
Okay. Okay. I seek a motion for BA 23-24.66, .67, .68, .69, .70, .71, and .72. I need a second. Angela Lombardi, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, agenda items for discussion, review of the tentative agenda for the regular meeting to be held on March 19th. Any questions regarding review of board action? Any questions regarding the review of educational programs and curriculum? Any questions regarding review of personnel recommendations? Okay, any questions regarding review of finance and facilities?
I have one.
Okay.
I should have asked this earlier, but one of the things that stuck out for me was F23-24.208. Just one, that's awesome to get, donations from the
Yes.
Milford Wrestling Foundation, the rec department, and ShopRite for wrestling mats. Just a clarifying point, I thought that I had at one of the meetings, I was told that we could not direct donations to specific sports, that it was given to the athletic department and they could do with it what they wanted. I just want to clarify if that's actually true, or if that was something that I'm not recalling.
So
It was something that was told to us, and I know that that was in the context of just other sports, like saying that they were gonna donate something, and they were told that, the athletic department has discretion to put it wherever they want.
if it's a dollar amount, that's correct. This is the actual mats that we
Okay.
received.
So there's a distinction, just the physical.
Correct, like
Okay.
they were the physical mats that were received. We like to put a dollar amount on it
Yeah.
because, not to get too technical, but we maintain something called a fixed
Mm.
asset report. And so we need to always know sort of what the total of anything that coming into our building is. But this is not an actual dollar amount. These 3 organizations got together and then donated. We have the mats.
Okay.
So
$100.
they actually purchased it.
Correct, they actually purchased the mats and the mats have been delivered.
Awesome. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, any old business? Any new business? Okay, seek a motion to open to the public as outlined in New Milford Board of Education bylaw 0167. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes. Nicole Dunn, seconded by Nicole Dunn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I seek a motion to close. Nicole, seconded by Stephanie Coffinger, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Any board member requests for additional information? Okay.
And no action.
Okay. It is hereby moved that the Board of Education adjourn into executive session in accordance with the provisions of Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 PL, for the purpose of discussion and consideration of matters pertaining to the following subject: student matter. The minutes of the executive session will be made available to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. We won't be taking action when we come back to open. I seek a motion to go into close. Tony Albro, seconded by Stephanie Coffinger. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?